Hi, my name is Tony. I'm going to give a little quick lesson in how to change a tube on any type of bicycle. There's pretty much everything's pretty basic as far as tube changing goes. First thing you want to do is to get a flat tire. You want to see if you can see any holes in the outside of the tire or any objects protruding through before you take the tire off the wheel. This way you will know where to look for any object that might be inside of the tire between the tube. To take your tube off, you're going to need at least 2 tire levers. You're going to work opposite the valve stem to remove the tire off the rim. So, if you can get a close-up of this, what you want to do is pull this back, hook the tire lever underneath the bead of the tire, like that, and pull it around. You can use the little lever to lock it on the spoke like that. You can get another tire lever and grab it and work it out just like that, and then pull it all the way around the rim to remove the bead of the tire. And then you can remove the other lever. Some people, if they're good enough, can take the tire and the tube off in one unit so they don't separate the tire and the tube. It's hard to do for some other people, so we're just going to do it. We're going to pull the tube out of the tire like this. Get to the valve stem and then lift the valve stem up out of there from where it was inside the tire. At this point in time, you don't want to take the other tire, the other side of the bead off the rim, because you want to inflate the tube, see if you can find where the hole is in the tube if you haven't already found it on the outside of the tire. Remembering which side of this tube was against the tire. So go ahead and put some air in this tube, see if you can see where a hole is at. If you hear air coming out on the outside of the tube, that's a good indication there's a little area on this tire where an object went through. If the air comes out the inside of the tube, there's most likely a problem with the rim strip causing a flat on the inside of the tube. So there's 2 types of flats. One's from a bad rim strip or a spoke protruding through the tube causing a flat. The other will be on the outside of the tube from an object. If you can't find it that way, completely remove the tire from the rim. Then you can turn the tire inside out and slowly go around the tire, turning it inside out just like that, trying to find where the hole is. It's very important that you find what caused the hole in the tube, because if you put a new tube in and air it up, you're more likely going to have a flat tire right away. After you've found the problem, you want to reinstall the tire. Some tires have directional tread on them. This tire is a good indicator of directional tread. It has little sights that kind of point in the direction where the tire wants to roll. So you don't want to put the tire on backwards from where it was. Some tires it does not matter. This tire is a directional type of tire. So put one side of the tire on first. This is the easier part. It's just a matter of rolling the bead on there with your hands. You don't want to use any metal objects or anything else to pry the tire on with. The first side of the bead usually goes on very easy. Here at Bike Country, we always try to line the tire up where the valve goes through, where the pressure reading will be, so that if you're not sure about what pressure to put in your tire, it will always be there at the valve stem. Put enough air in your tube when you reinstall it so that it's just slightly round. This way there's less chance of pinching it between the bead of the tire and the rim, which is a lot of causes for problems when you install a tire. Work the tire and the tube together. Just work the tube down inside the tire like that, so it's kind of fitting down in there. Start at the press the valve or the Schrader valve, whichever type of valve you have. Make sure it's pushed up a little bit so the tube is up here or else it will get pinched between the bead and the rim. So work your tire on little by little, making sure that the tube is up inside and not getting caught. It's kind of hard to do from the opposite angle, but I'm trying to show you what I'm doing here. I'm working the tube up inside underneath the rim and pulling the bead of the tire around. See, if you notice over here, this is a potential problem. It's starting to get caught. So we want to work this tube up in there so it's inside the rim before we try and put the bead on. So as I'm working this, I'm letting it go in there. You get to this point, you want to kind of go around a little and squeeze everything together to make sure it's all seated in there properly. Because if it's not, when you get to this point, you're going to have a hard time rolling this bead on there. You should just be able to roll it on there with your hands just like that. Then when you get it on, you want to go all the way around the rim, checking to make sure that there is no part of the inner tube that's stuck between the bead of the tire and the rim. So double check that. Look at both sides of it, pull it back like that, look down inside there, make sure that you do not have any tube that is stuck between the bead of the tire and the rim, because what's going to happen is if you air it up that way, it's going to air up to a certain point, then it's just going to explode and you're going to ruin the tube. Sometimes you can even ruin the bead of the tire. At this point in time, you just need to put a little bit of air in there, inflate the tire, get it to where it's starting to have a good round shape. Maybe, 50 pounds or so will do. So we'll put some air in it. If you're out on the trail, you're either going to use a small hand pump or you're going to use a CO2 inflator. Get probably 30-40 pounds in there, 50 pounds. Check the bead of the tire, make sure everything's seated on there evenly on both sides of the rim. Then you can air it up the rest of the way. Put it back in your bicycle and you can be on your way.